The content you're about to enjoy comes from the archives of The Best You. We're devoted to the very best in personal development, with a magazine and resources dedicated to inspiring and changing people's lives. At The Best You, we work with the world's leading writers and trainers on the evolution of the self, and people whose journeys have been affected by their work and words. For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co. So we're back and very excited to introduce you my next guest, which is John Shin. Now, John has already spoken at a few of our expos in the past. I met John in one of the talks. I've seen him a couple of places in one of the events with, God bless him, Ryan Long, the City Gala. I also met him at the Greg Reed's event. And apart from that, well, we connected and then we've met a couple of times, and he's just great energy. He's got a lovely family, but also he's just a great entrepreneur, and he's been extremely successful over the years. And he's just got some really sharp, great humor that I think is so inspiring. But John is an entrepreneur, philanthropist, executive producer, author, motivational speaker, and critically acclaimed business coach. He captivates his audience with a sense of humor and contagious energy that keeps people on the edge of their seats. After 12 hours of intensive mentorship, as the modern-day author of the best-selling book, Think and Grow Rich, written by Napoleon Hill in 1937, and the executive producer of the feature film, Think and Grow Rich, The Legacy, a great film that continues his mission to inspire young entrepreneurs everywhere. And we're very blessed and honored that he's going to be sharing the movie with us here and with our viewers later on today. So we're very excited. So John, let's bring you in. There you are.
Hey, what's going on? Excited to be here.
Hey, man, very excited to see you. Every time I see you, there's just like fireworks going on all over the place. What is it with you?
There's great things happening right now. There are fireworks happening.
Well, listen, you know what? I took my glasses off, but looking at you with your glasses, I need to match you, John, because, I mean, you look amazing.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much. You look like a rock star. You look like a movie star, man. You do.
Thank you so much. So how's things with you, John?
Well, we're kicking off the new year right now. It's unbelievable. We were having breakfast this morning, and it's already January 14th. I mean, or 15th, is it, right? I mean, we're already 2 weeks into the new year, man. Time is flying right now. So pretty incredible.
Yeah. Well, John, listen, what are you going to be sharing with us today?
Well, I got a lot to share with the audience. And I guess we have a PowerPoint that we're going to put up. And we'll just go through the PowerPoint and give everybody a little bit of a background about who I am and what I've done and how I got to where I am today. And hopefully they can apply some of those principles into their life and get to where I am faster than it took me to get to where I am today.
All right, perfect. Well, I'll leave you the floor. Thank you so much, John. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support.
Right on. Thanks. Okay, well, everyone, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to bring my PowerPoint up because I believe I've got, about 50 minutes or so, and so I'm going to get started. First of all, I wanted to take a moment real quickly and thank Bernardo for all his hard work, his dedication in putting on the Best You EXPO. I know the thousands of people that have been impacted by his platform, whether you were a participant as a speaker or whether you were someone in the audience processing and been giving you all this content so that you can apply to your own life. And I can tell you, one of the things that, well, God, I want to be positive, but but at the same time, I want to be very honest with you. There are a lot of people in this space, I would say, in personal development and growth and this and that. And honestly, I remember, I'll tell you, let me go back real quickly. It was a conversation when Bernardo and I first met. It's interesting that we said, because we were trying to figure out each other. We didn't know each other very well, by the way, and we were getting to know each other. And we were talking about how many authors there are. And yet, they talk about this, and this. And I remember, I don't know if Bernardo remembers, but we said, some of these authors that wrote this book, they should read their own book, right? Because they don't apply the principles that they talk about in their own book, in their own personal life. They don't talk the talk and walk the walk. And one of the things I want you guys to understand is that Bernardo is one of the most genuine individuals I have ever met, one of the most authentic individuals. I love everything about him, his temperament, his vision, his dream, his work ethics, his tenacity, everything about Bernardo and Moya. And I want you to know that I just feel that we need to have thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people watching the Best You EXPO, because he really does bring you some of the most incredible thought leaders and business experts in the industry. And so, Bernardo, and to your entire team, congratulations. Kudos to you guys for what you guys are doing. I just wanted to say that, just so you guys know. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I've been an entrepreneur. I grew up in a very traditional family, which basically, when I say traditional family, I'm talking about an Asian family. And in the Asian culture, how do I say this? You don't have a lot of opportunities to do things. You're either you from a profession or occupation, become a doctor or a lawyer. And I know a lot of you guys are sitting here listening to me. You could probably relate to that, because a lot of your parents said the same thing to you. Got to go to college, get a degree, become a doctor or a lawyer. And you didn't want to be a doctor. You didn't want to be a lawyer. And a lot of times your parents are living their own life vicariously through their own kids, because they didn't have the opportunity, so they want the kids to do that for them. So I was one of those kids. I was obedient. I was, respectful, whatever the parents did. And a lot of our parents know how to lay in the guilt trip, right? Because they say, oh my God, we did not come to this country to screw up this opportunity. Ooh, excuse me, right? And which is what my parents said to me. My mother basically brainwashed me to say, we did not come to this country to screw up this opportunity. Go to college. And so what do I say? I got to be obedient. I did. And so I went to law school. And a lot of times you wonder why certain things happen to you or for you. And that's where I met my wife. And so we started our entrepreneurial journey. She was the first one to get into the entrepreneurial spirit. I was holding on because I was programmed, to get a job. And that's what I did. And so about a year later, my wife said, hey, why don't you come in business with me? And I did. So I got into the business with her. And in the early 90s, just so you guys know, we did not have the things you guys have today. We did not have podcasts and YouTube and Google, let alone the internet, let alone these kinds of virtual events that Bernardo's putting on. That never happened. And if you found somebody who was rich or successful, they would never tell you their secret. Why would they tell you their secret or their intellectual property so that you can go and compete with them? And so people were very selfish. They weren't very giving at that time. So the only way you can get content was to go to a library and pull some microfiche and get some data and do some research, or go to a bookstore and pick up a book. So I went to the bookstore with my wife. We picked up a book called Think and Grow Rich. Okay, next slide. And in this next slide, I want you to realize, if you have not read this book called Think and Grow Rich, this is one of the most iconic books that you have to read, where Napoleon Hill went and interviewed some of the most amazing people during the Great Depression. I mean, can you imagine in the 1920s and 30s, a reporter, a guy by the name of Napoleon Hill, at the age of 25, approaches a man by the name of Andrew Carnegie. Okay, next slide. So he walks up to Mr. Carnegie and says, and go ahead and just hit each one if you would. And he interviewed Andrew Carnegie, and he said, Mr. Carnegie, what is the secret to becoming successful? And he said, that's such a great question. I want to commission you to go and interview some of my dearest and closest friends. So who does he go to? He interviews Thomas Edison, right? Henry Ford, right? Let's see, Theodore Roosevelt. And the list goes on and on and on. The Wright brothers, right? And the Rockefellers. I mean, can you imagine, walking up to these brothers called the Wright brothers, who invented the plane, and their dream was to fly. Can you imagine, meeting these guys and said, so what do you do? And they say, we are going to fly like birds. And you would look at that person and literally say, they've lost their marbles, right? I mean, can you imagine their vision and their dream that one day they would fly, right? I mean, can you imagine that you meet a guy like Henry Ford and he says that we will be able to move a carriage without horses. How are you going to move a carriage without horses? He's going to build this machinery in his living room that once he built it, he had to figure out how to get it out. We had to break down the walls to get the car out of his living room. I want you to understand that these people were dreamers and visionaries. My question for you is, what are your dreams? What is your vision? And Napoleon Hill interviewed these people and discovered the 13 principles of what it takes to become successful. And those principles are now embedded into this book called Think and Grow Rich. Now, next slide. A lot of you may not like to read books. Now, I understand that because you like podcasts, you like YouTube, you like Netflix, you like things like that. Do you realize that there's only 5 books that have ever sold over 100 million copies? Okay, that is Think and Grow Rich. Okay, and just hit each slides until it kind of pops up. But the other one is called Lord of the Rings, and then you've got the Twilight Saga, you got Harry Potter, and you got the Bible. That's it. So since 1937, only 5 books have crossed over that 100 million mark. And by the way, the Think and Grow Rich movie has now sold over 200 million copies. Now, 4 out of these 5 are the only ones that have ever become a movie, except for one. And that one is called Think and Grow Rich. Now, there lies the opportunity. And I want you to realize this, right? That there's over 7 billion people on this planet, 7 billion, and not one person ever went to the Napoleon Hill Foundation. Now, I'm sure there's many people who thought about it, said they were going to do it, but they never did. They never acted on what they thought would be great. And so can you imagine that my partners and I, we went to the Napoleon Hill Foundation and we got the rights to make a movie based on this book. Can you imagine that, right? It's crazy that I read this book in 1995, and all these years later, 25 years later, I go back to the Napoleon Hill Foundation with my team, and we said, can we get the rights to make a movie on your book? And they said yes. Now, I want you to realize that there could be another whole talk just on how that came about. But I want you to realize that there is a lesson there. And that lesson, the takeaway, is to ask without fear. I think a lot of you guys don't ask because you're afraid. What if, what if, what if? You could sit there all day and do the what if. Okay, you have the what if syndrome. But what if they said yes? And that's exactly what happened. We got the rights. Next slide. We make a movie. And then we make a movie, and it's called Think and Grow Rich, The Legacy. Okay? We spent millions of dollars on this, and by the way, now we've crushed it. We did a limited theatrical release. We did Amazon Prime. We went to digital. We did all this stuff. We're now going into all the Walmart stores. And now, guess what? We're going to show you guys this movie and how epic it is, all right? And this movie has now opened the doors for me in so many different ways. And then I got asked to come and speak at an event. Okay, get this. I get it's like, hey, we love your movie. They actually came to the premiere, by the way. They came to the movie. They loved it. Like, can we show this at our national convention, or can we get you to come out and speak? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'd be honored to. They said, now we know you probably get paid a lot of money to speak, but we don't have a big budget. We were wondering if we could pay you $10,000 and all your traveling expenses. Would that be okay? Now, just between you and me, I would have gone and did that talk absolutely for free so I can promote the movie. But what was crazy is they offered me 10 grand. Now look, I'm a businessman too. I'm not going to turn down $10,000 plus all my costs and my staff to travel with me. So we go, we do the event, we get up on stage, I do my talk, I get off stage, and I felt like a rock star. People were walking up. Can we get a picture? Can we get your autograph? Blah, blah, blah. And then guess what happens? They said, what is the name of your book? And I was like, my book? Well, tell you what, why don't you give me a copy of your business card, or give me your business card and write down your email. I'll send you a digital copy of my book.
If you're interested in finding your true purpose, if you're interested in finding your legacy, if you're interested in growing, if you are sick and tired of reading books that don't help you, haven't helped you, or are not helping you, or attending courses and seminars that haven't really had an impact in your life, I invite you to read my book, The Question, Find Your True Purpose, out now. For more information, go to www.thequestion.co. If you're interested in working with me, contributing, speaking at any of our many events, partnering, or licensing The Best You, for more information, go to www.thebestyou.co.
Now, get this. So I get, I don't know, probably 1,000 business cards, literally 1,000. I mean, all my suit pockets and jackets were full of cards and letters and notes and stuff. I come home and my wife, Arlene, says, how did it go? And I was like, oh my God, it was amazing. I mean, it was unbelievable. She's like, so what are you going to do now? What's next? And I said, I need to write a book. And she's like, what? You got to write a book? I was like, I got to write a book. She says, but you don't have a book. I'm like, I know. That's why I got to write a book. She's like, you're crazy. And I was like, I know. So then I'm like, what am I going to write about? And so that's when I went to the Napoleon Hill Foundation and I asked them if I can get the rights to write a modern day book. Now, check out this next slide here. You'll see the original book, Think and Grow Rich. Okay, next slide. And this is the unedited version by Napoleon Hill. And then, do you know there's a Think and Grow Rich Black choice, right? Next button. And then there's a Latino choice, next one, right? And then there's a Think and Grow Rich by Sharon Lechter. Now, you saw Sharon in a lot of these commercials and videos that Bernardo was sharing. She's the one who wrote all the Rich Dad, Poor Dad books, right? She ran the company. She was the co-founder, helped Robert Kiyosaki write the book. She closed that chapter of her life, closed that door, and a new door opened up. Now she's with the Napoleon Hill Foundation. Now she's one of the most sought after speakers in the world. Now get this. Imagine this faculty, right? Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, Lino Sosa, Sharon Lechter, Black choice, Latino women. Do you realize that there's over 4 billion Asians on this planet? 4 billion, over 4 billion Asians, okay? And not one single person called the Napoleon Hill Foundation and asked them if they can get the rights to make to write a book called Think and Grow Rich, an Asian Choice. Next button. So check this out. So the book comes out. I get the rights. That's another whole story. And then guess what? My publishers came back and said, hey, what do you think about changing the title a little bit and redoing the cover? Because you got to learn about algorithms, you guys, and really understand how algorithms work on Google and Amazon and all that. And I got a crash course on that. I learned everything about algorithms, not everything, but I got a pretty good understanding. And so I was like, all right, let's do it. So we changed the title of the book, next button. And check this out. My book comes out and it's called How Rich Asians Think, next button. And get this. It's a Think and Grow Rich publication by the Napoleon Hill Foundation, okay? And what's awesome is that we go into Amazon and there was a movie that came out right before this called Crazy Rich Asians. So the people, of course, you know, Amazon is like the best in suggestive selling, right? They said people who bought this also bought, et cetera, et cetera. And now when you were going to go into Amazon and buy one and put in your shopping cart, you're now walking out with 4, 5, 6 things that are going to get sent to you. And it's kind of funny, like we as adults, we get so excited, like we have a package, you know, we get a delivery, you know, it's like Christmas every single day and you kind of get addicted to that and you're ordering stuff all the time. But it's amazing. And all of a sudden my book went viral around the world in multiple languages and all that. Now I'm getting asked to speak all over the world. And it's crazy how all these new things happen, okay? Because how did I get the rights to write the book? I asked without fear. I asked without fear. So as Bernardo was doing these commercials and saying, I want to get on stage. I need a coach. I need a mentor. I need this. Guys, what better person to go to than Bernardo to get all that advice from? It's like unbelievable. You know, it blows my mind. I was like, hey, Bernardo, how much does it cost to get into the best You EXPO to watch all this content? He's like, John, we're doing it for free. I almost fell over in my chair. I was in my studio like I am right now. By the way, everybody, I got all these fireworks in the background. That was to say Happy New Year's to everybody, right? I mean, it's 14 days, 15 days into the new year, but happy New Year to all of you guys, all right? But I want you to realize that I almost fell over in my chair. He's like, it's for free. And I was like, how can everybody not dial in? This is the stuff that we need to what? Open up our minds and let come into our brain, right? So next slide, I want you to realize that from there, we started the Think and Grow Rich tour. I got some amazing people in my book, by the way. Let me just kind of touch on that real quick. And again, you guys, I'm telling you all this not to toot my own horn, but it's like, what's the takeaway? Like, what if I did what John just did? Okay, but that's the takeaway. Not like, oh, look at John Shin. That's not my point. Okay, I really don't need that praise and recognition. Okay, I want you to realize that I want you to duplicate what what others are doing, right? Be a great duplicator, right? Be a great copycat. In elementary school, high school, junior high, you were penalized to be a copycat. Okay. In this modern day, you're going to be rewarded to copycat, right? I mean, look, here's what I say. If you're on a minefield, okay, you're on a minefield. Do you really want to walk across that minefield by yourself and not know how to get to the other side? Or would you rather follow the footprints that people like Bernardo and I and other great leaders have left behind for you to put your foot into that footprint and follow the footprint to get to the other side? It's a great movie called The Wizard of Oz, right? Anybody ever heard of The Wizard of Oz? I've heard you. It's a great classic movie, right? And it's about a young girl. Her name is Dorothy, and she ends up in this land called Munchkin Land, right? She's a little girl, and she's got a little dog named Toto. She's from Kansas, and she ends up in Munchkin Land. But now she's trying to figure out how to get back home. She's like, I just want to go home. I want to go home. That was her goal. That was her dream. Right? And so whatever your goals and dreams are, we're going to talk about that shortly. But what did the Munchkins say? They said that you have to go and find the wizard. To find the wizard, you have to follow what? The yellow brick road. They already paved the road for you to get to where you want to go. Right? And the wizard is a mentor, your coach. It's Bernardo Moya, right? The Best You EXPO. That's the wizard. But all you got to do is follow the yellow brick road. Okay? And I want you to realize that as I interviewed white people, black people, Latino people, brown people, whatever, different sexual preference, different religions. I interviewed everybody, different age groups. They're all in my book. In my opening chapter, just so I want you to understand, I didn't interview only Asians, okay? And I want you to realize that there are many forms of discrimination that exist in the planet, not just in the United States, in the world, okay? There's a lot of forms of discrimination. And one thing I've discovered is that success does not discriminate. Success doesn't say that you need to have a college degree. Success doesn't say that you need to have, a certain kind of faith or whatever, right? And I'm talking about religion, okay? It doesn't discriminate. Success goes to anybody who embraces the principles embedded in my book. And if you apply those principles, okay, and you read Think and Grow Rich, and you get to be associated long-term and be committed to the Best You EXPO, you'd be surprised what's going to happen for you in the future. Okay, next slide. So when I look at this, who'd have ever thought? I used to go to the airport and I would buy books as I'm traveling, and I'd say, wow, someday I wish, what would it take to have a book in a bookstore? You know what I mean? I mean, all these books. Do you guys know that only like 0.2% of all books ever written ever get inside an airport bookstore? Only 0.2% of all books ever written get into a bookstore. And it was so awesome as I go into a bookstore and I saw my book. I saw it on the stand. I'm like, oh my God, I had to take a picture of it. And I walked over to the bookstore, cashier, and I was like, excuse me. I said, a bunch of my books are over there. And they go, you're one of the authors of those books? I said, yeah. I go, would you mind if I take a moment? I just want to autograph them for somebody, She's like, you're going to autograph them? She's like, how do we know you're really John Shin? I had to show them my ID in the book as a picture of me. I'm like, see, this is me. This is my picture. And they're like, oh my God. So the cashier bought 5 books. She bought it herself so she could take a picture with me and said, this person walked into my bookstore. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And then they put a sign outside, and I was at the airport a little bit earlier just so that I can, kind of have a little downtime and relax before I get on the plane. They put a sign outside the bookstore and said, author of book inside store or signing autographs. And next thing you know, within 15, 20 minutes, all my books had sold. I had great friends that were texting me and says, your book is in Honolulu. It's in San Diego. It's in New York. It's in Florida. You guys, all this stuff can happen to you guys. You need to write a book, right? And if you don't know how to write a book, I'd love to coach you and help you and show you what I did. I'm in all the Barnes and Nobles, right? It's crazy how my life has turned around in the last 3-4 years. Okay, next slide. I hope all this stuff happens for you guys. Then we went on a tour, Think and Grow Rich. We had Bernardo come and speak at our tours, and he always gave a powerful message to the audience, right? We're going to 16 countries, 34 states. Next slide. And then, we've had some amazing people, and just, we've had Condoleezza Rice. Next slide, and just kind of hit all of them real fast. This is Les Brown, right? I mean, can you guys imagine? I was like listening to Les Brown one day, and next thing you know, I'm on stage with the guy in Chicago. We're rocking the stage, right? We had Barbara Corcoran on the hit TV show Shark Tank. She's in my movie. We got Martin Sheen. We're doing humanitarian work around the world. Rob Dyrdek and I, right? He's in the movie. He's a cast member. Stedman Graham. Do you guys all know who Stedman is? Stedman is Oprah's other half. Oprah's spiritual partner. And so we took a picture together so that I could be in the picture. I had to improvise and get a folding chair so I could be in the picture, right? Because if you only took a headshot of him, like my face was like down by his belly, so I had to like get a chair because he's like 6'9" and I'm 5'8". But can you imagine, like Stedman says, I want to go on tour with you, right? Steve Aoki. A lot of you guys know Steve Aoki. He's also in my book and my movie. Okay, next slide. Mario Lopez, huge fan of Think and Grow Rich, right? And so Mario and I were talking about co-authoring a book together. Now, here's the cool thing, you guys, is my wife and I, we got knighted also, right? And so people are like, you got knighted? Yeah, next slide, check this out. And so we officially have the title Lady Arlene and Sir John Shin by the Royal Order of Constantine the Great and Saint Helen, right? And the royal family of Spain. And it's pretty crazy, our life. Next slide, You guys, all this stuff has really unfolded only in the last 3 to 4 years, okay? There's a beautiful picture of my wife holding up her royal scepter and her royal medallion. And I think I want to go to the prince and tell the prince that we need to go and knight Bernardo Moya, right? Because he deserves to be a knight, okay? That's my opinion. I'm going to put your name in, Bernardo, okay? And so anyway, next slide, let's go on. So one of the questions we get all the time is, how did this happen to you guys? Like, I mean, you guys wake up one day and you guys are now like royalty, like you guys are a member of the royal court and all this. Like, well, let me tell you how it happened. Number one is this. Next slide is we prayed. Okay. Now listen, I'm not here to preach to you guys, but listen, man, prayer is pretty amazing. You ever sit there and you pray for things to God and you're like, Heavenly Father, please, I would like to have $1 million sent to me. Next slide. Do you guys ever wonder that maybe that when you pray for things, that maybe God is sending you what you're asking for in a different package? Do you ever wonder that? Do you really think if you're praying for $1 million that God is going to send you in a briefcase with a bunch of Ben Franklins, okay, to your house FedEx with a tracking number emailed to you from heaven? I mean, maybe God will do that. He works in mysterious ways. But here's what I believe. I believe that God sends you clues. I think the fact that you're here today and listening to the best you is a clue. It's a message from your Savior, your God, whoever you believe in, whatever you believe in, that your God, your Creator is sending you a message to say, hey, you're here. I sent you the best you. Okay. And this is it. This is time for you to be the best you this year in 2021. Okay. Next slide. Now, Bernardo mentioned this earlier, but I ask myself this question all the time. Like, do you ever think about what you're thinking about? Okay. Do you ever think about, I like to drive. You know what I like to drive? Because when I'm driving my car, I like to think. In my car, I'm like a thinker, right? And I sit there and my mind is spinning 1,000,000 miles an hour while I'm driving my car. And so what I want you to do is I want you to think about what you're thinking about. Next slide. So in the next slide, I want you to write this down, is that Albert Einstein said that the world we have created is a product of the way you think. Okay. And it cannot be changed without the way you think. Okay. We have to change what's going on upstairs in between these 6 inches of your ear. Next slide. Because look, you have to understand the way you've all been programmed. Okay. Do me a favor. I want you to do this. I want you to say the color of the word that is actually written in, but don't read the actual word itself. I want you to say the color of the word that it's actually written in. Next slide. I want you to do as fast as possible. Here we go. Try it. Okay. You're having a rough time. I can tell. Because I know right off the bat, when you saw that first word, you said blue, but I said to say the color it's written in, which is green. So your mind, the way you've been programmed, already started saying blue, red, but you said, okay, green, blue, purple, orange, green. You had a hard time. Why is that? Because of the way you've been programmed. Let me show you the next slide here. Let me give you a different example. What does this say? What does it say? And a lot of you guys say it out loud. Come on now, say it out loud. It says good times are here. Would you all agree? I know that's what you're saying. good times are here, but hit the button. And here, that's not what it says. Okay. Isn't it amazing that your brain automatically associated those words and saying good times are here, but that's not what it says. You see how your brain's been programmed? Next slide. Check this out. Okay. I want you to write this down. TFA. The letter T, I want you to hit the next slide. And here's what it says. TFA stands for this. What are your thoughts? Because whatever you're thinking about right now will affect the way you feel. Okay, next slide. Okay, next button, hit the button. And then the way you feel will affect the way you act. Next button. Okay, and the way you act will determine your results. Okay, next button. And your results are predicated based on what you're thinking about. So that's my question. You know, there was a little commercial where Dean Graziosi was talking about having clarity, right? That interview that Bernardo had with Dean. Dean's another great, amazing guy, right? And he says that, what is your clarity? You know, he says, you got a lot of dust in the air. You got to get laser focused on what it is that you guys want. Next slide. Okay. So here, check this out. Go ahead and hit the button. A dream, whatever your dreams are. Next button. Write this down. Okay. A dream without written down with a date becomes, next button. All right. A goal. And a goal, next button, broken down into steps becomes, next button, a plan. And then a plan, next button, backed by action becomes, next button, a reality. Okay? So here we go. A dream written down with a date. Why do you got to have a date? Because once you have a date, let me just tell you what happens when you have a deadline. When you have a deadline, it creates urgency. Imagine, for those of you that live in the United States, you have to file your taxes. You got to file your taxes by April 15th. Most of you guys get it done the day before. Isn't it amazing that you get your taxes done the day before, right? The deadline. Or let's say when you're traveling, you know you got to catch a plane, you got to fly somewhere. The amount of things that you do before you travel out of town, it's remarkable what you did in that short period of time. So when you have a deadline, a definitive date, it creates urgency, it creates momentum, and all those things become your goals, broken down into little steps. What are those little steps? That's your plan. What is your plan to attack your goals this year? And then once you start acting on your plans, the key word right there is to act, becomes your what? Your reality. Okay. And the letter ACT, A-C-T, by the way, is an acronym that I want to share with you. Number one, A stands for what? A stands for appropriate. Make sure you're taking appropriate action. C stands for consistency. Whatever you guys are doing, whether you're writing a book, you want to be a speaker, you want to do this, you want to start a business, you got a product, you want to get a patent, be consistent with it, right? Keep on it. And then the letter T stands for tenacity. Make sure that you're tenacious, okay? I can tell you right now, both Bernardo and I and Sharon Lecter and Dean and all of us, man, we took appropriate action. We were consistent with it. We were tenacious with it. That's why today we're all living these amazing dreams. Next slide. So listen, guys, I want you to be positive. I think a lot of people right now need a little blood transfusion, right? With some B positive blood, right? Next slide. Check this out. I want to share this wonderful quote with you. Just hit it so this whole thing shows up. Guys, you cannot litter negativity everywhere and then wonder why you've got to trash your life, okay? I want you to realize when I meet somebody, I can feel their vibration, their positivity, their passion. The reason that, you know, that Bernardo and I are friends and partners today is because when I met Bernardo the very first time, I can feel his positive vibrations, right? I could see his passion and what he wanted to do, and I wanted to support that. Nobody wants to go and follow and be around a dull, disillusioned, dadgum crybaby, right? People need to have a little thicker skin, need to be mentally tough today, man. It's like someone says one thing to you and you get all bent out of shape. Let me just say it's going to take a lot more than a few words to get me bent out of shape, okay? Because I'm mentally tough. Those things don't even, they don't even faze me. Does that make sense? But you can't litter negativity and then expect why you got to trash up. You got to be positive. Next slide, okay? So this is a great story about a monkey that in the jungles, right? These hunters wanted to catch these beautiful little creatures, these little monkeys. to capture them and hunt them, what they did is they got these coconuts, they drilled a little hole out of it, shoved it in with peanuts, just enough for them to get their hands in there, and then they grab these peanuts, and then they would go away. Well, what happened was they were very clever. They tied this coconut down, and then when the monkey came and put its hand inside and grabbed the peanuts, it made a fist. Once it made the fist, the hole was too small for the monkey to pull the hand back out. Do you guys understand? And so now it was stuck, and it couldn't leave, and now the hunters now captured this monkey for its own demise. So I want you to realize the takeaway, the lesson from there is this. Sometimes, in my opinion, you need to let go. You need to let go of your past. Whatever it is, let it go, right? And if had this monkey let go of those peanuts, then guess what? It could have saved his life, but instead it hung on to that for its own demise. What is it that's holding you back? Okay. When you go to a circus, in California, my mom and my dad, when I was a kid growing up, they used to take me to the circus. And the circus, there were these massive elephants, and these elephants were going out there and doing these crazy tricks. And then afterwards, they would take them back into the corner, and they would take basically a little chain with a little, and they put it around the ankle of the elephant. And it had maybe a 1 foot, 2 foot chain with a 6-inch stake into the ground. And I was thinking to myself, wait a second, this elephant, they put this little chain in, and it just stood there and did nothing. Yet that you and I know that elephant had the power and the strength to just yank its leg out and pull out through the audience and hurt a lot of people. And so my question is this, is that just like that elephant, it was programmed to do that it was held down by just a 1 foot chain and a 6-inch stake. My question for you is this: what are your chains? What are those stakes? What are those things that are holding you down, that is holding you back? Because you got to let it go. Okay. And when you start to let it go, okay, a lot of things are going to happen for you. Number one, you're going to heal. Number two is you're going to get better. Don't be bitter, but get better. Okay. And be positive. All right. Next slide. You guys, I'm taking my 90, 2-hour talk, and I'm condensing it into 45 minutes. So I'm going real fast. I hope you're picking up on all these little nuggets. All right. Next slide. Okay. So 10 time wasters. Let's talk about this real fast. Next slide. Number one, time waster, waiting for inspiration. Stop waiting for inspiration, you guys. I want you to be the inspiration. Okay. Why don't you become the inspiration? Okay, yesterday I was talking to a guy on my Zoom, and he was telling me about his life story and how he had gone to prison and he made some mistakes, and he went to prison. He came out of prison. He reformed in prison, came out, and today now this guy's a rocking entrepreneur. He wrote a book, right? And one thing he said, he went from prison to penthouse, okay? Prison to penthouse. And I want you to realize that the prison that he was in is very much like the prison that you guys have created. Right? You created this own invisible prison or barrier around you that's holding you back because you have bought into your own BS. Your BS is what's holding you back. And a lot of you are like, oh my God, is he swearing right now? I can't believe, Sir John Shin is saying BS. What does BS stand for? Right? It's your belief system. I'm not swearing. Right? It's your belief system. Your belief system, what is embedded in here, is what's holding you back right now. Okay. I don't want you to wait for inspiration. I want you to be the inspiration. Okay. Number two, next slide. Oh, by the way, don't wait for the inspiration. Be the inspiration. There you go. Number two.
If you're interested in watching the video content of this interview and many others, or interested in learning from world leaders and teachers, go to www.thebestyou.online.
Stop worrying about what other people are going to say to you guys. Okay, who gives a diddly squat, right? And listen to me, you guys. I know that 98% of the people out there are probably saying something about me behind my back. I am 98% sure that some hating troll hates and talks about John Shin behind my back. But let me just tell you guys this right now. I'm 100% sure that I don't give a shit. Does that make sense? Okay, so I did say a bad word. All right, forgive me, all right? Send me the bill. So check this out. I want you to realize that you should not give a diddly squat either what people are saying about you behind your back. Because those trolls, they're not going to pay your bills. They're not going to take care of your family. They're not going to help you go out there and help other people, right? So stop worrying about what people are saying about you and move on. Check this out. Here's a little quote I want to share with you. Next slide. The greatest prison people live in is the fear of what people think about. Okay, that is a great prison that you're living in, this little thing. Oh my God, what if he or she says, who give a Scott? Okay, next slide. All right, number 3, stop complaining. Okay, that is so easy, right? Let me just show you the next slide here. I want to show you a quote. If you have time to whine and complain about something, then you have time to do something about it. Okay, look, if you're going to quit, quit blaming people, right? Quit waiting for the right time. Quit saying that these are the cards that dealt to me, right? And here's this. Quit quitting. How's that? All right, next slide. Moving on. I only got like 10 minutes with you, so we're going to rock. Number 4, stop trying to please everybody. Stop trying to be a politician and try to please everyone, right? Guys, I'm not here to be a people pleaser, all right? And neither should you. So here's a little quote I want to share with you. Next slide. The only thing wrong with trying to please everyone is that there's always going to be one or a group of people who will never be happy and unhappy because of whatever. Okay? So look, I don't like Think and Grow Rich. That's your problem. Okay? Isn't it funny that 200 million people went out there and bought the book, and the book Think and Grow Rich has influenced 1.5 billion people? People say, I don't like your movie. I could have done a better job. Well, then why didn't you? Right? It's so easy to do this. But you know what? I don't give a squat what those people say. I do care about the people who said, you know what? That changed my life. It impacted me. It saved my marriage. I was going to commit suicide, but I watched your movie. And now guess what? I'm going to go write a book about my personal story. I'm like, I love this kind of stuff, right? Next slide. Stop comparing yourself. Okay? Don't compete with other people. Compete with you. Next slide. Don't compare yourself to others. There is no comparison between the sun and the moon. Would you agree, right? The sun, it's got its part and the moon does its part, but they shine when it's their time. Don't you love that? They shine when it's their time. Well, your time is to shine now. I believe it. I believe that there's a calling in the universe for Bernardo put this event on, for Bernardo to reach out to me, for me to be here in your face today to say it's your time to shine, baby. All right. And I hope you do. And I can't wait to hear your success story. And I want to see you on the Best You EXPO talking about how you were watching this, right? On January 15th, 2021. And bam, it was something that I said that really resonated. And you went out there and did something with your life. Boom, that's what I'm talking about. All right, here we go. Next slide. Oh, God, I'm getting hot in here, Bernardo. I'm getting myself jacked up right here. All right, number 6, repeating the same mistakes. All right, here we go. Next slide. Let me just tell you something. You can never make the same mistake twice, because the second time it is a mistake and it was your choice, right? The first time was a lesson. The second time you made that choice. No one else did. I did it. Bernardo didn't tell you to do that. You got to learn from your lessons. I'm telling you, I'm glad I made all these mistakes in my life, right? People say, if you can go back in time and change a few things, what would you change? Would you redo that experience? No, because that experience, that negative lesson, which I thought was negative at the time, was a massive learning lesson for me. Okay, next slide. 7, perfectionism. All right, let's just go to the next slide. All right, you're never going to be perfect. Okay, striving for excellence motivates you, but striving for perfection is demoralizing. There's only one man who's perfect in the world, and we're not even going to go down that path right now. Okay, next slide. Lack of priority. Start prioritizing everything that you guys want to do on a daily basis. Look, let me just tell you something. It's not that people don't have time. They just don't make it a priority, right? Next slide. You will never find time for anything. If you want time, you got to make it, right? Prioritize it. Make it a priority. All right. Number 9. Fear of failure. Okay. Embrace failure. You know what the word fear stands for? F-E-A-R. It's an acronym. Here's my acronym for fear. Okay. Feeling excited and ready. Feeling excited and ready. Now you got fear, don't you? Right? Because you're excited and you're ready to go out there and conquer your future. Number 10. Oh, here's a little something. Don't fear failure. Fear being in the exact same place now, next year. Okay? That's scary that you didn't get any better. You remain bitter your entire year. Number 10. Not living your life, guys. Listen, I am not letting all these politics and all this stuff around the world, COVID-19, paralyze my life. Guess what? I'm learning how to pivot right now, like a chameleon, right? Think about a chameleon, right? Like a reptile that changes colors in its environment, right? It does that like a chameleon so it can survive. So let me just tell you, I got COVID-19. We got all the stuff that's going on in the world and here in the United States. Guess what? I'm going to pivot. I'm going to adapt. So next slide, I want you to realize that if you're living your life right now in fear, then you're just not living. You got to find your passion and find your purpose. And man, I know that Bernardo and I would love to talk to you face to face, kneecap to kneecap, and find out what that purpose is for you. Next slide. So let me just tell you, if you don't come out of this quarantine or lockdown, I'm in California right now, and I can't, they put a restriction on us in California. We can't even drive 120 miles out of here. I have another house in Vegas. I can't even drive to Vegas right now because they won't let me in the state of California. Okay, well, I'm not going to sit there and go, oh my God, I can't go back to my own, my other home in Vegas. That's it, blah, blah, blah. No. I said, look, during this quarantine, you know what? I'm going to sit in this house that I have now, and I'm going to learn a new skill. I'm going to learn some new knowledge. I'm going to get a new side hustle. I'm going to start a new business. Folks, it's not that you never lack time, but you lacked 3D. Let me just tell you what those 3Ds are. The 3Ds hitting the button is, number one, you lacked desire. You lacked dreams and you lacked discipline. Put those 3Ds into your life and magnificent, magical things will happen into your life. All right? So here we go. Next slide. I want to show you guys my phone number. A lot of you ask, how do I get a hold of this guy? I kind of like his energy, man. He kind of like talks my language, all right? So here, do me a favor. Get your phone out, all right? Get your camera, and there's my personal information, all right? So now, here's what I want you guys to know. Then on the very top, hit it and hit save, and now, you and I can connect. But I want you to have your own QR code. I want you to have your own new modern-day business card. So here's what I want you to do. Go to the next slide, okay? And by the way, this is not an opt-in. I'm not going to send you all this crap. That's a waste of my time, okay? If you want to do business with Bernardo and me, then you're going to get connected with us, right? And you'll find me on, whether I share my information or not, you're going to find me on Facebook. It's not like you can't Google John Shin Think and all this stuff pops up about John Shin. You'll get a hold of me, all right? So look, if you want to do business, let's do business, right? You want to go and conquer your dreams? Let's go conquer your dreams. But you got to have a new modern day business card. What I want you to do is go to goqr.me, goqr.me, and then I want you to create your own QR code, right? And then I want you to go down. I want you to save that QR code and then put that on all your slides, your PowerPoint, your business, your shirt, wherever. And that way, people say, I wonder what that QR code is. And boom, when it goes, it can go to your website, right? People want to know what that QR code does, all right? Boom. Next thing you know, it goes, now you have an opt-in and now you got someone that you can now create a lead for, a prospect. Next slide. One of the things I hear people say is, I want to talk to you guys about the Think and Grow Rich funnel system. Next slide. One of the things I hear a lot of people say is, I tried a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad and it didn't work. I've wasted money on ads and give me no results. Or I have no idea where to start, but I know I need help. My business is doing good, but I want to grow. I spend more time prospecting instead of being in front of qualified clients, right? So if all you're doing is prospecting, how are you going to get clients? So one of the things I want to do for you guys today, okay, Bernardo and I, here's what I want to do. What if I can show you guys a way where you can generate a ton of leads? So let me just show you this funnel system. We started in April of 2020, okay? And April 2020, we created this funnel system. And let me just tell you, we have generated over 150,000 new leads. What if we could do that for you guys, okay? So let me show you how that works. Next slide. What if we could do this? Next slide. What if we could create the ultimate lead generation funnel for you guys? Would that be something you guys like? What if we could do that for you and generate tens and thousands and hundreds of thousands of leads for you? Here's how we do it. Click. So imagine using a brand like Think and Grow Rich, a Grant Cardone, right? A Barbara Corcoran, right? Where we advertise a special movie screening to watch the movie. Now, a lot of you may go, oh, what's the movie like? Well, you're going to watch that this afternoon. Now, guess what? We're going to advertise the movie. We're going to create a website for you. Next slide. And everybody who goes in there, we're going to advertise for a free movie. They're going to watch the movie, and then they're going to answer some questions. Next slide. Okay, and this next questionnaire, they're going to first register, so they put in all their information, name, address, city, county, country. Next slide. Now, those people, you've got their content, and then we're going to give away some raffles. It'll generate some information for you. All this is going to be for you. Next slide. And then get this. We ask them a series of questions. Are you looking for a mentor? Do you need life insurance? Do you need a digital platform? Do you need how to do this? Whatever it is, we'll custom tailor it to your business. Okay. Then those opt-ins become lead generators for you. And all that while you're using the brand Think and Grow Rich, using the brand Grant Cardone. Next slide. And now guess what? You've got your massive lead generation that goes right into a CRM lead management system. And next thing you know, everything is turnkey for you. Everything is turnkey. Since April of last year, we've been doing this for, I don't even know, hundreds and hundreds of people, and it's been rocking their business. And now we got some people that have subscribed to this on a monthly basis. Next slide. What if we can do this for you guys? Next slide. Normally, go back one slide, sorry. There you go. The funnel system, we were charging $1,800 a month. $1,800 a month. And here's what I want you to do, because I want to do this special for the Best You attendees, okay? What if we did this? You opt into this Think and Grow Rich legacy sales funnel, okay? And then here's what you do is you pay $600 a month for the next 3 months. So it's $1,800. We'll work out a system for you guys, a plan. Once you do that, at the end of 3 months, we're going to increase all these sales and leads for you. And here's the thing. If we don't, we'll give you back your money. Whoa, wait a second. So we're going to generate all these leads for you. And if it doesn't work, we give you back your money. Who does that in this industry, right? But let me just tell you, that is how confident I am. We did not offer that with anybody else. They're paying us $1,800 a month. They're on a 1-year contract with us. I'm just going to let you guys do this with us for 3 months, and you're going to get lots and lots and lots of leads to help you generate whatever your service or product is. We have not done that for anybody. We've never introduced this program. We're doing this today, especially for the Best You EXPO. It's a money-back guarantee. Money-back guarantee. So let me just tell you, if you're interested in this, the next slide, just so you all know, click this little thing with your camera. It's a QR code. That's what it's called. It's a QR code where you click that. And then guess what? You tell us when you want to talk to us. Okay, we're not here to like pitch you anything. If you're ready to get started, let's move forward. Okay, and we'll even work out a payment plan for you or whatever. I don't care. All I want to do is help your business grow, and I want you to make a ton of money this year so you can take that money and do amazing things around the world and helping people grow. This is the Best You, guys. All right, go conquer your future. Thanks for having me here today. My time is up. I love you guys, and I love Bernardo Moya. Thanks for having me, Bernardo.
Hey, how you doing? John, thank you so much. Listen, I love the energy, man. Listen, those fireworks were going on as you were speaking throughout the whole talk. Love the energy. I love your straightforward talk and approach. Everything. Absolutely everything about how you talk. The first time I saw John speaking, I mean, it was just a breath of fresh air. Having seen so many speakers, and I think we share the same quote. A lot of the people should read their own book. And
we talked about that. Yeah, totally.
It is so true. But listen, you're the real deal, and you're the real deal because you just literally laid it out there. You've worked very hard to be where you are. You've asked the right questions. You've actually asked people for things, and they said yes, and you've gone and done it, where other people are still thinking about it. And there's no sweat on all of those that are basically kind of criticizing you or trying to bring you down or trying to, give you their hashtag no negativity. So listen, you're just a breath of fresh air, man.
Thanks, Bernardo. Love you, brother.
No, I love you, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, guys. Mr. John Shin, If you're listening from home, please stand up now. Give him a round of applause. That was absolutely phenomenal. And John, I want to thank you so much for allowing us, for bringing the movie to the Best You tribe community. Guys, This is an absolute treat. You can't watch this. You can't see it. And you're going to see it here. So, John, I want to thank you so much for bringing that and allowing us to do so. Once again, thank you so much.
Thanks, Bernardo. See you guys.
Cheers. For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co.